Hey everyone, good afternoon. So today we're going to talk about Pinterest. I have some tips for you, 7 to be exact, and probably a little bit more depending how this conversation goes, to help you with Pinterest, to help your online presence there, to help it work harder for you. A lot of people that ask me questions about Pinterest, they have no idea, one, how to use it in general, but two, how to use it effectively to help spread the word about their handmade products. Let me just lower my notifications really quick. Okay. So again, a lot of people don't know how to effectively use it. And if you're just in luck, I'm here to help you with that. And again, I want to share with you 7 tips, and I recommend you write these down. But if you're in a place that you can't write these down, please rewatch this video. Take what I say to heart and work on those tips. When? I have no idea. You have to put this in your schedule, okay? Because when and if you want to work on Pinterest, these tips have to happen, okay? So, hey, you have no idea how to use it. Yes, a lot of people don't know how to use it. I mean, they might use it personally. I think a lot of us might have a personal accounts, but they certainly don't know how to use it for business. And more importantly, how to really use it for products, things that you're trying to sell, okay? So, hey. Oh, Bex, that wasn't me. I think that was my notification in general. So anyway, so good afternoon, guys. Again, thank you for being so patient with me, as this week is my last week with my assistant. So we're really working hard. So I'm joining you guys in the afternoon. However, next week, just so you know, you'll be able to watch in the mornings again. Okay? It'll be pretty much right at 8 again. Okay? So I want to start with the tips in just a moment. I want everybody else to roll on in as they're getting the notification to come on in. But again, these tips, you know, some of them are really quick and easy, and some of them obviously will take a long time to complete. You know, this is not, you know, get rich quick. This is not an instant wave Dahlia's magic wand to help you, but these are solid tips that are going to help gain a lot more exposure for your handmade products. So just for the record, a lot of people ask me, is this the platform I should be using for social media? Should I be using Instagram? Should I be using this? You know, a really great determination of why you should be using Pinterest is if your target customer is, I know this sounds silly, but this is what we do, target customers, okay? If you sell anything in the wedding category, you should be on Pinterest, okay? If you sell anything to moms, you should be on Pinterest, okay? And anything to babies, right? Baby related items, you should be on Pinterest, okay? So that's kind of broad. However, some of you might be like, yes, that's me. But if you're kind of in between or not really sure, and just for the record, a lot of people that buy from you could be moms, you know? And I want to make something very, very clear. While this could be something that you actually sell to, it may not be your target, but it might be, okay? So definitely think about whether or not Pinterest is right for you, because while these tips are great and you're like, yes, I got these tips, I'm gonna roll with it, it might not work for you because your target market's not hanging out there. Again, a majority of the people that hang out on Pinterest are women, okay? So that's number 1. So that's great in general, women. And then moms, people that are planning their wedding, okay? And people that are having babies or have kids, okay? So those are the majority. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably going to cover a lot of our businesses here. So I hope this is relevant to you, okay? You were just looking up how to use Pinterest yesterday. Well, it's very tricky, Brooke, because while many of you could actually look up how to use Pinterest, the issue becomes, first of all, is the content you're reading out there, you know, reliable source? You might find some things. But also what I fail to see is it does not really connect with handmade products or products in general. While people can get traffic and views from Pinterest, the challenge becomes, okay, that's great, Dahlia, you got me some views. How do they purchase from me? How can I get them to actually buy from me? Because that's the end of the day. That's what you want. If I could guarantee you 5 people a day to come to your shop, but all 5 of them will buy $100 products, then you'll be happy with that. It doesn't matter the amount of views. But in this case, I really want to focus on not just driving traffic from Pinterest, but also helping that turn potentially into sales, right? A lot of things I can't control with your Pinterest account, such as the type of product you have, such as your description, such as your pricing, etc. Let's assume all those are okay. Now let's talk about Pinterest, okay? That's why I was skeptical. I think you got my mental signal that I need help too. I know that people have been mentioning it, and I certainly, just for the record, I'm currently working on my website now, right? Because my assistant's about to leave. Shortly after, I'm finishing up the relaunch of a description webinar. Really, really exciting stuff, okay? Then sometime after that, the next thing in line is the email list webinar. Everybody's been dying for that, waiting for that. And I'm very excited to share that with you. My outline is definitely mocked up already, but the content's not inside yet of my webinar. After that will be a Pinterest one. So hopefully sometime in the new year, in the beginning of the new year, a Pinterest webinar will come out. It's going to be so intense and awesome, okay? Because it's quite a thing to attack, okay? So, so let's see. I need to learn to use Pinterest for business. Yes, one customer pin my Etsy listing has 5K pins. Well, that's good to know, because sometimes we don't control it, but pins can go viral, right? So let's talk about this for a second. So let me start with this first 7 tips. And if you have questions regarding these tips, please be specific and ask down below, okay? And I'll be happy to answer. So the first thing I want you to do, of course, besides having a Pinterest account, if you don't have one, I recommend, don't listen to anything I'm saying right now. I recommend getting a personal one, you know, seeing what it's all about, understanding the platform for its natural state, okay? Don't try to manipulate the platform to make it work for your business until you understand it in general. Are you a customer? Are you a Pinterest user? So over here, can anybody tell me, if you're a Pinterest user, just say yes. Just say yes, I'm a Pinterest user. I need to know if you are currently using in general. Maybe you don't use it as often because you're so busy. But if you have used it or are using it for personal reasons, whether you're pinning hairstyles or food recipes or whatever, let me know that you're using it, okay? Because that's the most important thing, okay? I need my water. Here it is. A lot of us do. It's an awesome place to be online. So over 5 years, I think, yeah, I was, so I don't know if you guys remember when it first rolled out, it was by request only. It was invite only. It was very exclusive. And I got an invite to be on there, which was way back in the day, you know, which was very exciting. But I never really had the time to, you know, commit to it. But certainly, I've been on there for such a long time. Okay, so, but again, if you've never really understood it in general, I recommend you get in there and play around with it personally before you take any of my tips. Okay, so first thing I want you to do, if you have a Pinterest profile. Actually, I'm going to change my little, I have it all written down here. I'm going to change it up a bit so it can make more sense. Is that if you have a personal account and you want to use it for business, use it for business. None of these personal boards and all this mishigash, right? Because your customers don't care to see potentially, you know, some personal things that you might like that doesn't relate to your business, okay? So what I want you to do is, if you have any personal boards, you have to make a secret board or secret boards so nobody can see them, okay? Because I don't recommend having 2 different accounts, right? Personal and a business one. So you want to take all your personal boards, make a board, a secret board for those names, and then repin all those items to the secret boards, and then delete those other boards because they're not helping you, okay? They're not related to your business, if they're not related to your business at all, okay? So exactly. Oh, that's right. I think you could actually, I think there's, you're right, Kareth. If you go into your personal boards, there should be an edit function of some sort, and then you could actually make it secret. Awesome. Okay, so that makes it easy. Now, after you've done that, so we know it's a business-related Pinterest account, because I certainly don't want to lose my personal pins, you have to switch your account to a business account. It's very, very simple to do, okay? Yeah, so Michelle says she has a business account. Perfect. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the first thing I want you to do, okay? Change over your account to a business account. If you're like, how do I do that? It's really, really simple. You probably go into your settings in the top right corner. If you don't really know how after you do that, or after I'm saying it, just Google it. I'll give you some quick instructions, okay? So why do you not recommend having a separate account? For one simple reason. I don't want you to have a separate account because, how do I say this? It's too much to manage. Why would you want to manage 2 accounts? I don't think it would help you. It certainly doesn't help you. I think having one would make it easier for you to manage, okay? Now, depending what you mean, Erica. So if you're saying that your account is really, really established, what does that mean, account really established? Does that mean you have a lot of repins of your products? Then just switch it over to a business account, meaning that same account will turn into a business account. That's it. You don't have to delete it or make a separate one, okay? When I say switch over your profile to a business profile, you're still keeping all your followers, you're still keeping everything in there, but you're switching it to a different type of account, okay? So that's the first thing I want you to do. And here's why, because when you switch to a business profile, you have a little more you could do, and this will become more useful in the future. But when you are pinning products and you need people, you're paying attention to the views, the stats, business profiles will give you a lot more to do. And one of them is promoted pins, which we talk about another time. Another thing is analytics, which is really, really important, okay? So switching to a business profile is so much more important than having just a personal, okay? Especially if you're in it to understand where the traffic is coming from and all this stuff. Exactly, Carrot. You get so many more analytics with a business account, okay? So let's move on, okay? Tip number 3. What did I write here, guys? Hold on. Okay, legit. Can anybody read what I wrote here? It's chicken scratch, okay? So it is free. Great question, Brooke. It is free to switch to a business account, okay? Hold on. I'll get back to that other one. Anyway, so here's another tip. Okay, so this is obviously no particular order, but here's another tip. Obviously on Pinterest, photos are super important. They're probably one of the most important things on Pinterest, right? Because what happens is a visual playground over there. So you're literally going on Pinterest and whatever you're searching for personally, right? Whatever. And all these photos pop up. Okay, so obviously it's really, really important. Now, here's the kicker, right? If you are no good at taking photos or photoshopping or anything in the photo arena, you might find yourself struggling to make Pinterest work for you. I'll explain to you a little bit later, but while you can pin your product photos, that's great, they're already done. Are they really that fantastic to be pinned around, right? Because after you pin them, and that's great, you want people to click through on them, which we'll get to in a moment. But photos are super, super important. So if you have not had any luck with your current photos, I would suggest not to get into Pinterest just yet. I would suggest getting you're in a different type of stage in your business. You're in the fetal stage. You're a fetus. You have to work on your photos first before you even think about going into Pinterest, okay? There's no way around this. You can't say, well, I'm gonna try with Dahlia's tips and I'm gonna, no, I'm out, no. Photos are important. Okay, there's a lot more to photos on Pinterest than just having a pretty photo, which we'll get into in just a moment, but you certainly need to make sure that photos are enticing. Erica says, I heard going business would turn it into what happened with Facebook and Instagram. We won't be seen as much eventually versus having it as a personal account. Erica, it's a good point, you know? You never know with these platforms that we don't own. That's why I have this fantastic email list, because you own the email list, right? But that's a side note. I'm not talking about email lists now. However, we are at the mercy of the people who run these, these platforms. So it's possible. However, I recommend going into business because I feel like the positive will outweigh the risk. Okay? I really, really feel that way. So, pin photos or links. Well, when you pin the photo, you don't really pin a photo, you pin a product that has a photo attached to it, which will have a link attached to it. We'll get into that later, okay? So photos are important. Now, okay, let's see what's here. Okay, so another tip is the biggest priority on Pinterest for you, okay, is to get people to repin, which is sharing your pins, okay, and to click. Because they can share all day long. If nobody clicks on it, that kind of sucks. So let's talk about that for a moment, okay? I'm not just giving you that tip. I want to kind of walk you through what makes a pin enticing, right? To repin and to click through, okay? Now, Pinterest has went through some updates. So the description the description underneath the photo is gone, okay? But what is left when you look at a pin? Can anybody tell me what is left when you look at, if no description is there, what is left, okay? Angela, we'll have to get back to that topic. I promise we will definitely go back into it. Does anybody know what is left? Not tags. They don't really have tags on Pinterest or hashtags. We don't use hashtags, right? You can certainly still write a description for your items, which I highly encourage. But what's left is the photo. All you literally see when you go to Pinterest is photos. So how do you get somebody? Let's talk about number one. This tip, let's break it into two pieces. Let's talk about how you get somebody to repin, okay? It has to make sense for that target customer that they want to save it because they want to repin it. They want to pin it to their board, okay? So of course, fantastic photo is important. What other things get repinned on Pinterest? Well, Pinterest has run a study before, okay? And many people have actually run other studies independently. And they've told us that there's certain things that get repinned more than others, okay? So one of them is being obviously fantastic photos. Number two, if there's a model in your photo, they can't be looking at the viewer. Like, it's best for me to look this way, right? Imagine I'm pinned right now, as opposed to me looking directly at you. More importantly, it's better to actually not have a face. I know that's weird, right? But if you have models in there, think about that. Next is I believe they said that the pins with the warmer tones get pinned more than the cooler tones. Okay, just in case you're confused about that. The blues, the greens, etc. don't get pinned as much as the ones with the warmer tones, the pinks, the reds, etc. Okay? So, I'll explain to you in just a moment, Brooke. Now, so that's another tip. Now, another way to get repinned is, or people want to, they're enticed to click through to you, is if you have text on your photo. Now, when you're repinning a product from your store, there's probably no text on your photo, right? And that's technically fine. A lot of pins can get repinned multiple times without any text on their photo. Obviously, that's happened many, many times. However, depending on what you sell, you might want to have an additional pin, right? So you have the product. Here's a product, right? You pin this item. Yay, went to Pinterest. Then you take the same product, okay? And this is more technical, so this will have to be another time. But you could pin this new photo and add the link to the same product. The new photo would be something you photoshopped up. Now, of course, it's a little more complicated because if you're not really into graphics or anything like that, this could be very, very complicated for you. But having something like a more stylized photo, somebody wearing it, something like that, and saying, oh my God, the cutest 10 stationery sets ever, right? Somebody's gonna be like, oh my God, I wanna see the stationery sets. They click through or they repin, okay? So text does help. In fact, Pinterest has told us, and many independent studies have told us, that it will help get your product click through and repin. That's, again, a little bit more complicated because a lot of us maybe don't know how to add text and graphics, etc. That's just another tip, okay? So the last tip to get people to repin is, or click, is having longer photos, okay? Because everything's really standard, this short photos, right? Square photos. Boring. What happens to stand out is longer photos, okay? You might say, Dahlia, my photos are they're not long. They're standard size, right? So that's where potentially Photoshop's playing where graphics come into play, okay? But it's not necessary. These are just additional tips to help your repin rate or your like rate, not like rate, that's boring. Repin rate or your click-through rate, okay? So we talked about how do you get repins, because it's really, really important. How do you get click-throughs, okay? Adding text to the photos, making the photo enticing. If you have a model, don't show the face. If she's the face there, don't let her look directly at the camera. I'm not sure if I already said it. Adding text to the photos, warm colors versus cool colors, etc. Okay? So that is another tip I want to give you. You have to make your photos work for you, your pins work for you. And that's how they work for you, because it's really important to get them repinned and click through, okay? So I have huge issues getting view. How does it get found? No tags. So there are multiple ways to get found on Pinterest. Having a description is one of the ways, but you don't use hashtags. You put your keywords in a phrase, if you will, in your description. And that's how Pinterest kind of, its search engine works through the items. Okay, that's how it really is. So does Canva help with longer photos? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Again, we could definitely get into it more another time, but this is a more complicated thing unless you're a graphic designer of some sort. You kind of know your way around any kind of graphic program, but Canva does help with that. Okay. How do they get found without tags? Yeah, I just mentioned that, right? Okay, perfect. So next, let's move on. Look at my thing. Okay, so here's another tip that may or may not apply to you. Okay, so that's a great one, infographic, but I find that's very difficult for handmade products, handmade businesses to use an infographic. Okay, and it's not only hard for us to apply it to our product, it's also hard to create. Even though places like Canva and things like that have setups, there's two negatives working against you. It's hard to create, it's hard to apply to your handmade product, but you're right. It is a great way to get repinned. It just has to be related to your product, right? So another way to drive traffic to your store, okay? Now this will work if you have your own shop, not Etsy, okay? Is blogging. Okay, so I want you to think about it for a second. I'm searching for first birthday party ideas. My daughter's about to turn 1, even though that's not the truth. I'm just giving you an example. About to turn 1, so I'm looking for first birthday party ideas. And I find this really great photo and picture about the top 10 places to get, you know, cheap, you know, party decor. Okay, so I click through and I go to Dahlia's blog post. And now I'm on Dahlia's website in the section of her blog. And I'm reading through, and of course in your blog you can do many, many different things, but they're already on your site, so they can go and shop if they don't want to venture off. Also, you could link to your products, and that will keep them in your store, okay? But blogging is a great way to get traffic on Pinterest because it is valuable content. You're not just trying to sell to somebody, but they're like, hey, I have some information that may help you, and it's for free, because blogging is, you know, customers don't pay for it. It's free, right? So if you have a blog, if you want to start one in the future, that's a great way to drive traffic. Pinterest is like the king for people that blog, okay? So if you don't have a lot of things in place, I would not use this tip very, very soon. I would get all the other tips kind of going. But blogging in the future can help drive your target market. That's a key word, right? Target market to your store. Again, if you want to use it for Etsy, it's a little more complicated. You have to have your own blog standalone, okay? And while it does not have your shop within that blog, you certainly could do other things to link to your products, right? Because there's a lot of places that, there's a lot of plugins that allow you to put all your Etsy products into this website. And when they click through there, they go to your Etsy. So that's absolutely possible if you want to do that, okay? So we talked about a number of tips. The last one, well, not the last one, kind of second to last one, is it's all about adding value to the customer and your target customer and target market. So you want to make sure, of course, when you pin your products, it's for your target customer. But if you're creating blog posts, anything else that you want to share, it has to be related to your target customer, okay? So it's also important not to just pin your own things. Don't just pin your own things. Pinterest is not stupid. They're like, this person's only sharing their crap. That's not cool, right? They want to see a variety. They want to see a variety of things that will give value to their users. Let me take you back for a second. So imagine you're a Pinterest user, which you are, and you're searching for things, and you keep seeing Dahlia's website over and over and over again. You can get annoyed at Pinterest for not giving you good recommendations, and you're not gonna continue using it, right? Therefore, they lose a Pinterest user. So how to prevent that? They tell people, they don't tell them, they reward people who share valuable content, a variety of them, by boosting their pins to the top of the search. Okay, so don't only share your content, okay? Pinterest keyword phrases, similar to finding your Etsy keyword phrases. You know, Brooke, that's a great question. It can be. It can be. You definitely want to use when you write your description up with those keyword phrases, you want to make it in a sentence, right? That seems natural. However, you want to include a few in there, and certainly they could be the ones you find on Etsy. They certainly can be. Okay. So yes, you would make your own board. So for example, on modern pink paper, so you say modern pink paper products or whatever, modern pink paper, and you'd pin all your stuff to one board. Okay, all your stuff to one board, the first board, in fact, on your profile. All the other boards, for example, listen up, okay, there's more tips. Obviously, there's going to be past 7 tips, but the other boards have to, actually, that was what I wrote earlier. That's what I wrote earlier, okay, which I couldn't read. All the other boards have to relate to your target market. So for example, I sell paper products, and I would say my first board, my second board would be first birthday party. Pink and gold birthday party. That's another board. Airplane pilot birthday party for a boy. You see how I'm naming these? I'm naming them so customers understand what these boards are about. So I'm really speaking to my target customer. And of course, if your product fits within those boards, you're going to pin it to your board, the first one, modern pink paper. Then you're going to pin it to any other board that it's relevant to, right? So if I pinned airplane stationery, I'll pin it to the main board. And then I'll also pin it to the airplane birthday party planning board. Does that make sense? Okay. I have wedding related boards for dresses, flower cases. Exactly, Michelle. Exactly. Kareth says, pin from regular Etsy app, not the sales app. Great tip. Why is that? It makes the descriptions much more general and way less salesy. Great tip, Kareth. I highly recommend on top of that to change. I don't know how it looks. However, I would take a look at the descriptions. You want to make sure it includes keywords that are really important, because here's the kicker. At this current time, Kareth, I'm not sure if you saw the recent changes. You don't see the descriptions anymore, so it doesn't matter if it's salesy or not. You can't really see it until you click on the pin to open it, and then eventually you'll see the description, then you might click through. So I love the fact that it's not salesy. That's fantastic, okay? I want you to take a step further and look at that description. Make sure it has certain keywords. If somebody's looking for something on Pinterest, could they find it? Because the only way Pinterest can index your item in search is if you have those keywords in the description. Oh, repin, you're flipping genius. Thank you. I'm not sure exactly what I said that was genius-like, but thank you. There's obviously a lot more, but I hope this kind of gives you some, I don't know, some start to brainstorming what I'm talking about, okay? So again, you have a board for your products, and then you have multiple boards, right, that have, you know, collections to what your target customer would want, right? So it's really important you understand your target customer while doing all this. So important on Pinterest. So important, okay? Can we set up a group board? Maybe. I started the Handmade Mastermind Pinterest board, okay? And group boards are a great thing, by the way. Really, really great. However, I'm working on a lot of things with a .com first before I actually get into the Handmade Mastermind Pinterest board. But definitely in the near future, I could definitely see doing that. Absolutely. I could put it on the Handmade Mastermind Pinterest, okay? Yes, pin and then repin within the boards. And make sure when you repin, don't repin from your website, right? Repin from that actual pin. So when you pin it to your first board, open that pin up and then hit repin to the other board, okay? We did not. I'm not really getting into such thorough detail because I don't want to overwhelm people, you know? But there's certainly definitely some things in here you have to get accomplished. Like I said, turn your profile into a business profile. Don't put anything personal in there. If you want to make it personal, save it to your secret boards, okay? Another thing is it's all about photos, okay? You have to have fantastic photos. More importantly, you have to get them repinned and clicked through. So I talked about the details of how to get, in general, how to get those pins clicked on and repinned, okay? Blogs certainly help because that is just content they're driving to, which happens to be on your website, which happens to potentially mention your products here and there, right? That is why I keep my personal account, to repin my pins. Okay. Say what again? I'm not sure what I said. I talk 20 miles a minute. You know that, guys. What was number 3? Hold on. So it was business profile. It was no personal boards. It is photos are super, super important. It's also getting people to click and repin on your photos. It's the most important thing. We, again, mentioned quite a few tips how to do that. You have to listen back to this video if you want to just refresh your memory. Blogs are important to drive traffic as well. You don't have to start out with that, not by any means, okay? It's all about adding value to your target customer, okay? What is the name of your mastermind Pinterest group? I don't have a group per se. I have a Pinterest account. It's called the Handmade Mastermind, okay? You could check it out and you could follow me there, etc. Certainly as soon as I finish up my big projects and the blog for you guys, I'll be using it much more actively. So I hope these tips help you a bit, and they're quite intense, but you have to start small with it. You have to understand that switching to a business profile will help you. Understanding what gets repinned and click through is really, really important, okay? A couple other tips is using it actively. You cannot use it for a day or two and not go back to it for a month. If you're on Pinterest, okay, it's important that you often pin things. So you're always in front of your customer's eyes, okay? Always, always, always. So I know this came up once in your group on Monday post last week, but what are your thoughts on scheduling apps? Do you know of any free ones? Do you think any paid ones are worth it, etc.? Oh, thanks. There's actually, if I'm not mistaken, there's actually a couple free ones on Pinterest. I don't know too much about them. I do know about, yeah, there you go. Board Booster is one of the really, really fantastic ones. And there's, of course, there's some, it allows you a certain amount of pins for free, but I have the paid for version, which I'll be using very, very soon. But certainly I would really recommend starting with Board Booster. There's a couple other ones that are really great, according to people, but I think Board Booster is really fantastic. Okay, but I would not get started with it. The reason why I have even a paid for account is because I know how exactly to use it, how to make it worth my time, worth my money, how to really optimize my Pinterest because I'm the master. But I just don't have the time to do it as of right now. In the very, very near future, as soon as my assistant leaves, the .com is pretty much finished by either today or tomorrow. I'm getting back into the description webinar, the relaunch, and then the blog, etc., etc. The Pinterest will follow, okay? So, about following your Pinterest board. Awesome. Okay, don't you just end up with a lot of the same pins? No, there are things you could do in Board Booster that will not do that. It's hard to explain, but it understands when to delete repins if you keep trying to pin. It's hard for me to articulate, to be honest, but it's certainly a fantastic fantastic platform, fantastic scheduling app. Can you pin Amazon too? Absolutely. Here's what I recommend, guys. Here's one thing I didn't recommend yet. Is if you have a .com, pin from your .com, right? That's what you want. It's your business, okay? If you only have an Etsy and Amazon, I would recommend it's up to you which one you want to pin, to be honest. Certainly, both of them are fine. Obviously, Amazon has a lot more fees, right? So maybe pinning on Etsy is much better. It's really up to you. I find that, I'm pinning from my .com soon. That's why I have not used my Pinterest account, because let me explain. I've had things pinned by other people and such, but I have not wanted to really put a lot into it because I want to pin from my .com. It's really important to me because I happen to know how to make my Pinterest account go really great for me. And I don't want, no offense to Etsy, I don't want that to happen and go through Etsy. I want that to happen and go through modernpinkpaper.com. Got it? So you don't have to do that. You could definitely pin from Etsy. Then in the future, change those links to your .com. However, things that are already repinned already out in the world, those links won't change. That's what I worry about, And delete old pins that aren't getting traffic or when you change your photos. Certainly. That's another great tip. Thank you, Kareth. And here's why, because Pinterest is like, you are pinning a lot of low performing pins. You must suck. So when you suck, they don't put you in the top of search. So deleting old pins that are not getting traffic or repins is really important for the health of your account, if that makes sense. Sometimes, exactly what Kareth said, changing photos could certainly help the repin process, because while this boring photo may not get a lot of repins, the same product in another photo could be better, right? Does that make sense? So sometimes doing that. That's obviously a little bit more complicated when you start to get the hang of Pinterest. That comes in the future, okay? So I hope these tips have helped you. It looks like some of our members here definitely know a thing or two about Pinterest, so that's fantastic. And I hope you guys are using it to your benefit. The issue out there in the world is that there's a lot of information about Pinterest, which is great. A lot could apply to you, but there's some things not really specific to selling products, and that's what's upsetting, right? Because you're like, okay, I get it, but I need people to buy something from me, not just read my content. And that's where I come in to help, you know? And that's why I wanted to come out with the Pinterest course in 2017, because there's nothing really out there to help people use Pinterest for handmade products, and it's such a fantastic tool to drive traffic. Okay, so everybody knows that my .com has been launched, and I've been having relatively good sales on it. Awesome, right? People have been finding me through Google. Love that. But most of the people that come on there are repeat customers. Awesome. My email list. However, I'm finishing up adding the new products to it, and then I'm going to start working on other strategies to bring people. Working on email list automation. If that doesn't make any sense to you, ignore what I just said, but more of my email list kind of details. And Pinterest is another big push I'll be doing in 2017 for both Handmade Mastermind and my .com. And then, of course, a few other things, okay? So I just think that the world needs more help with Pinterest, especially people that sell products, okay? I know some of these tips are going to help you. I know it, but you have to be dedicated to it. Thank you, Michelle. I look forward to bringing it out there, because back in the day when I used to do one-on-one coaching, and most of you probably weren't around for that time, I've helped a number of people with their Pinterest, and it was one-on-one coaching, so it was a little bit more difficult than having an actual course, and that's why I want to do a course instead. But I definitely know the power of Pinterest. I've helped people with quite a bit and drive quite a bit of traffic to their shop and actually get sales from it, which I'm very excited about. Not just for myself, but for them. Like, Pinterest can be this thing similar to SEO, where people search for you and they find your product and they buy, and you're just sitting back, right? Now, not just sitting back completely, but there's some maintenance you have to do in Pinterest and, you know, use it, you know, often, but it's still a great tool I want people to know about, you know? So, what's the question exactly, Nadine? Google SEO, am I going to teach that? You know, the more I do it for my .com, the more I realize how complicated it is to teach. I certainly know how, what a course that's going to be, you know? And I have to really, I'm not sure if that's the question you're asking, but there's certainly some general information about it. There's some more intense general information about it. And then there's some more information about it depending on what platform you sell on, such as Shopify or WordPress or whatever. So I have not outlined that course yet. It's certainly something I want to think about, because I know it's a great tool for people that have their own .com, you know? I'd probably take the most two popular platforms and discuss it there, but I don't know when that's going to be. I would rather focus on email lists. It's really, really important, because I love my email list. I love it. I love it so much. And then focus on Pinterest, because like the information I have about, let me backtrack for a second. The information I have about Pinterest and what it could do for handmade products, handmade sellers, is intense, okay? Because again, if you look out in the world, while you could get some great information for free, right? Here and there, and you put it together. First of all, it'll take you a million years to put it all together, but more importantly, it doesn't particularly direct at people that sell products. Like I said, there's some great information that could help you, but it's really not going to really turn up the volume in your shop or your .com, you know, and that's what it works. Anyway, guys, my screen is like really dark and my percentage is at 3%. So my okay, if you're still with me, sorry, I almost pressed cancel on you guys. My battery's about to die, so I must let you guys go. I hoped this Facebook Live gives you a little bit more insight how to use Pinterest for your products, okay? The biggest thing is being consistent on the platform, doing the tips I've given you, definitely much more than 7, okay? But some of these tips take a long time, such as when you're doing your photos or adding text to your photos or doing blog posts for your items, whatever. Those take a substantial amount of time, and there's no lie or doubt about it. When I come out with my Pinterest course, for example, you shouldn't buy it if you literally have no time. If you want to do something in the near future for that, awesome. If you have no time, it's not going to really help you. It might inspire you a bit, but it's not going to help you because you're not going to do the work, right? There's certainly some intense things in there. But for example, me, I have a huge goal, and I started writing out my goals for 2017, huge Pinterest strategy goal for 2017. So I would be the person to take a course like that, invest my time, and really work it. But if it's not on your plate, or, you know, you don't have time for it, it won't make sense, right? But certainly things you could do here and there to help you get to that bigger level. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you guys go because my battery's dying, all right? I'll catch you later. Bye.